stream has started, Kansas? Dana Lynn? Dana Lynn? Dana Lynn? The live stream has started?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, well then I'm talking to the live stream. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Spend all your time waiting for that second chance, for the break that will make it okay. It's always some reason to feel not good enough, and it's hard at the end of the day. I need some distraction. Oh, beautiful release. Memories seep from my veins. Let me be empty. Oh, and weightless, and maybe I'll find some peace tonight. In the arms of the angel, fly away from here, from this dark, cold hotel room, and the endlessness that you feel. You are pulled from the wreckage of your silent melody. You're in the arms of the angel. May you find some comfort here. So tired of this straight line, and everywhere you turn, there's vultures and thieves at your back. The storm keeps on twisting, keep on building the lies that you make up for all that you lack. It don't make no difference escaping one last time. It's easier to believe in the sweet madness, oh, this glorious sadness that brings me to my knees. In the
well, some comfort here with just a twist of disruption. That's what we do at St. Andrew's. You will always find that here, and you are always welcome here. And we truly do hope that what you need you will find today and every day. Welcome, welcome to St. Andrew's. My name is Susan Chisholm. I'm the minister here, together with Kevin Parks, Minister of Music, and all these fantastic people who are partners in crime and disruption and comfort. This is not a disruption in the season of Lent, but it is a very, very special Sunday in the season of Lent. Lent is a time in our tradition where we open our minds and our hearts and we really attend to what is most important to us, especially in terms of the Spirit and how we're meant to live. But we do this always with a sense of the promise and the hope that comes with that opening. So we rend our hearts and then we claim the promise. They go together. And that promise is for new life, recreation, new possibility. It's always there. So if you look behind the band, there's a banner made by Dana Lynn, who sang, and Penny Badal. And this is a symbol, of course, of inclusion and affirmation and the dignity of life and the way that we're meant to live together in harmony, right? But also placed on it this week is the Bear Cross, which is a symbol of self-emptying and service and mission and sacrifice. You see, the two go together, just like comfort and disruption. So it's entirely appropriate that this Sunday in Lent, in this season, we come together, all of us, to celebrate ministry and community, and particularly the ministry of Russ Daye. Because when we gather, we do what all communities of all traditions and all generations have done. They come together with a certain perspective and a certain opening to encourage one another, to celebrate one another, and to give one another reminders of both the comfort and the disruption, of both the rending of the heart and the claiming of the promise. So whatever tradition you come from, it is welcome here. Whatever perspective you bring, whatever you consider to be worth opening to, it enriches us here. Please feel that you belong, that you're welcomed, that you are affirmed by what we do, always. So we light a candle, and I want to say this. It's a candle for you, and for you who are gathering online. This is a light that shines all across distances. This is a light that shines through divisions and helps us to find our way back to one another for the goodness, for the dignity, for the promise that it can be. Let it be for you and for us here. We'll center ourselves with prayer. This is a sacred hour and a sacred celebration we come together for. So please take a deep breath. Think about what it might mean to be in the arms of an angel. And we pray. Holy, inclusive God, we give thanks for this gathering, for the people who have come together in this room and beyond, near and far, bridging more than physical distance. We give thanks for the beautiful variety that this community is, for the variety of perspectives and the ways that we think about other peoples and traditions, all of them held within your hand. We give thanks for endless opportunities for fresh perspective and new relationship and revealed truths. Holy God, on this day and every day, may each one hear your call to new life, new opening, to fresh energy and breadth of possibility. It is in Christ's name that we humbly pray. Amen.
Good morning, and welcome to Russ's Roast Church Style. My name is Robert Mango, and you will see my face around over the past several years. And unfortunately for you, I am your MC this morning. Over the past 15 years, His Holiness, as my wife refers to him, has charmed, moved, motivated, and at times downright challenged us to think about how we practice our faith in ways likely we could not have imagined. Today we have gathered to celebrate Russ and his ministry at St. Andrews. In addition to his worship, we are fortunate to have Russ's sons, Sam and Will, in attendance. But we would be remiss if we did not have or give a hearty St. Andrews shout out to Russ's several VIPs who are watching in Perth, Ontario, Russ's wife Virginia, and her parents Ken and Lucille, and in Point Michaud, when you ask a Trini to come and do an MC, who barely speaks English. And in Point Michaud, Russ's mom, Marg, and her husband, Kenny, are watching. As we gather here today, we each have our own personal Russ experiences to draw on. My own experience is how Russ saved my marriage, or at the very least, my life. I had developed a nasty habit of losing my wedding rings on golf courses. I know. I would remove my ring prior to playing because I thought it really hindered the way I played golf. I know. Once I was lost. Until I finally lost the ring for sure. Enter His Holiness. He offered to bless my newest ring, which quickly became a renewing of our vows. Yes, this is still the very same ring. And voila. Not Viola? Okay. Voila. Somehow, I still have the ring, and truly a modern miracle, I can play golf with it. Today, we're going to have the pleasure of hearing from 4 speakers who will regale us with stories and anecdotes of their own experiences with Russ. And our celebration would not be complete without some music from our very own Mostly Righteous. First up today is Carol Cooley. Carol is a longtime member of St. Andrews. She was on the committee that ultimately hired Russ, depending on your perspective. She's a past chair of the council, which is really an understatement of the 21st century. She has fearlessly led us through fire and fraud and investigation. She has also had the good fortune, like myself, to have married an Islander. Oh, right there.
Thank you, Robert. Good morning. As Robert said, I was a member of the Joint Search Committee that hired Russ in 2005. And in fact, Brian Fraser and Karen Ferguson were also members of that committee, and I think we would all agree that from the very beginning, Russ has never stopped tapping us to volunteer for various jobs around here. So since we brought him into St. Andrews, it seems appropriate that we see him out. Thanks to Russ's orchestrating, I did serve as chair of council from 2013 to 2015, and I think you learn a lot about a person and about yourself in challenging times, and we've been through a few of those. As Robert alluded, in a one-week period, beginning around the beginning of July 2014, we discovered that our office administrator was stealing substantial sums of money from the church, and we also had a fire that closed our building for several months. The morning after the fire, Russ was in my living room along with Kevin Parks, and we were making plans on dozens of details that had to be managed. People who had to be called, police, insurance, the congregation, finding a new place for worship, weddings had to be moved. The list went on. And it seems overwhelming now to think about all of this again. But at the time, Russ led us in digging deep to get things done. And over the following days and weeks and months, we were talking and meeting daily in many cases. We were in crisis, and there was much to be done. And it seemed that every few days there was a new major issue to deal with. We would just think that we got our arms around the problem and something else would come up. But one of the things that I remember about that summer is that despite the serious issues, there was much camaraderie and we laughed quite a lot. And Russ would sometimes wonder out loud, who would play him in the movie of this story? And I don't think we ever resolved that, but suggestions are welcome. Russ has reflected publicly a number of times in this space about those days. He gives credit to Don Stonehouse and Doug McLean and I and others for directing the insurance company to prioritize the restoration of the hall ahead of the sanctuary so that we could get back to hosting Sunday suppers. And of course, that was the right decision. But now that I have the stage, I want you to know that he was not a bystander in this decision. He was at the wheel. And I certainly hope that I never have to work through a crisis like that again. And Russ, I hope that you never have to either. But if I do find myself in such a situation, I will give you a call. It would be easy for 15 plus years of history to be minimized in one intense period. But for me, it isn't. And so the other reflection that I'll share this morning is as a regular member of this congregation and remembering Russ's relationship with my mother. When Russ arrived here in 2005, Jean Cooley was still a bit of a force in this congregation. She was no longer in former leadership roles, but would have still been involved in various committees. And I think she would have shared, in her gentle way, some of her opinions on how things get done around here with the new minister. And over the years, they developed a lovely relationship of mutual fondness. As she began to lose her cognitive ability to Alzheimer's, St. Andrews became an even more important place to her because of its familiarity. She was always very comfortable in this space, never agitated. And when she no longer remembered people's names, Russ became our minister. In Mom's life, the minister was an important person. Russ sat with our family at her bedside in her final days and presided over a lovely memorial service in this sanctuary. A few months later, when we buried Mom's ashes in her hometown of Port Hood in Inverness County, we invited Russ to lead the graveside service. And locally, we referred to as the family from Halifax who brought their own minister. When Russ arrived at the cemetery that morning, he was wearing a clerical collar. I don't think I had ever seen him wear it, and did you even know that he had one? But he said to me that Jean would have appreciated it, and indeed she would have, and it meant the world to us. So thank you, Russ, for 15 and a half years of leadership, inspiring worship services, and friendship. We'll miss you here.
Russ. Time makes you bolder, and I know that you will admirably handle the changing seasons of your life. Took my love and I took it down. Climbed a mountain and I turned around. And I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills till the landslide brought it down. Ooh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within its heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tide? Can I handle the seasons of my life? I don't know. I don't know. I've been afraid of changes because I built my life around you. Oh, but you know that time makes you bolder. Children are getting older and I'm getting older too. Yes. Well, I've been afraid of changes because I built my life around you. Oh, but you know that time makes you bolder. Children are getting older and I'm getting older too. So take this love, take it down. If you climb a mountain and you turn around, and if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, will the landslide bring it down? And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, maybe the landslide will bring it down. The landslide will bring it down.
Our next speaker, well, really, I should say, here's Johnny. I mean, Margie. Is Margaret Mackay. She sews, she swims. She's a retired newspaper editor and a longtime member of St. Andrews. She's a newish wife and a brand new grandma. And Russ has been a part of a whole lot of that. Here she comes.
The things I do for you. I've got 4 minutes, right? Like 56 minutes, less than Russ got on an average Sunday morning. Just saying. And Russ came to St. Andrews. My life was a mess.
Just move a little closer to the mic.
When Russ came to St. Andrews, my life was a mess. I was a stressed out, working single parent to 3 teenagers, still reeling from my marital breakdown and years of living with an alcoholic. Some pivotal things happened to me during Russ's time here. My father, my anchor, died. My daughter Kate was married here. I was told to retire after 40 years at the Herald. My partner's son was married here. My mother, with whom I had a lifelong, complicated relationship, died. And I met and married Bob Shepherd. Shortly after Russ arrived, he asked me to join the Worship and Music Committee, then Ministry and Personnel. I did, not knowing it was a life sentence. For a long time, I've been responsible for getting communion together, and more challenging, for trying to keep a straight face on a Sunday morning when, during communion, Russ would spot a breadcrumb on the carpet and say, "You've dropped the body of Christ on the floor." For real. I'm an introvert, and I didn't have a lot of self-confidence. And here's Russ challenging us to talk to everybody, like in the old days when we had pews, to turn around and talk to someone in another pew. Ooh! Then he had us talking in triads, sharing in small groups, talking some more in unbinding the gospel and into the geography of spirit. And honestly, it was terrifying and wonderful and fun. We meditated, we did Tai Chi, we learned about string theory, well, sort of. We went mentally with them to the desert. Russ's efforts helped convince me that I had real value as a person. Given my experience, I had a hard time trusting people, but I trusted Russ. I leaned on him and he held me up. And really, there aren't that many people that will do that for you. He led me out of the wilderness and created a spiritual home here at St. Andrews where I feel deeply cared for. It's difficult for me to express just how much Russ means to me personally. my marriage to Bob during the worship service on Remembrance Day 2018, surrounded by our families and you all, our church family, is a highlight. Thank you for lifting the veil for Bob, Russ, and thank you for everything. I will end with some of your words that have comforted me over the years. May you feel protected and safe. May you be content and pleased. May your body uphold you with strength, and may your life unfold in God's grace.
Tributes and words for the man right there, Russ. God bless you. I'm going to keep something short, but I want to tell the story. People talk to me, I digress when I'm telling stories. I'll try to keep it short. I was wandering around the world thinking of what the hell's going on, where do I want to be, but being a spiritual-based person, faith-based, I guess I am. I believe in everything, the higher power, all that. I came to a service for the late, great Ian McClellan, the man that used to own Mills Brothers. And Russ was... he gave the sermon and ran that service. And it was amazing. He does the typical service stuff and reciting scripture and all that, but then he quoted Neil deGrasse Tyson, the astrophysicist. We all know he does it quite a bit. So I nudged my wife. I said, I'm coming back here. Because that guy knows what's going on. And when that, I learned, because that whole path of the journey of life is like you're trying to find stuff and you're trying to figure where you are, attain knowledge, attain friendships, experience, blah, blah, blah. And I heard him speak, and then I got to know him a little bit. And I thought, you know, this whole thing is exactly where it should be for me personally. So this St. Andrew's home has been fantastic. And then I went up to Kevin. And, when you, through the journey, before I forget, you try to attain perfection. We all know we can't attain perfection, but we can ride the journey to that, because perfection means static or stasis, whatever word you want to use. But if you keep moving, you keep looking, keep learning, keep experiencing, keep treasuring everything you can to expand your life. And Russ means that to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to you. I went up to Kevin and I said, you know what, I want to participate in this church. And I'm a singer. I guess they might have known that already. And the very first song I sang is very crucial to the story and the whole process that was going on in my life, is this song. It's by U2, Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. And never find what you're looking for. Keep looking at it. When you find that one thing, keep going, keep learning, like Russ is. God bless you, sir. Thank you very much.
Fields only to be with you, only to be with you. I have run, I have crawled, I have scaled these city walls, only to be with you. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I have kissed honey lips, felt the healing fingertips. It burns like fire. It was cold as a stone, but I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Yeah, boy, come on. I believe in the kingdom come, and all the colors they bleed into one, bleed into one. But yes, I'm still running. You broke the thorns and you lose the chains, bury the cross of all my shame, all my shame. You know I believe it, but I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
A little bit of bromance going on there. I hear you. Fortunately, 31 years ago, I found what I was looking for. Our next speaker is Sherry Hassan Ali, the current chair of council, who, in her own words, when she first met me, said that she was conceived in my home country of Trinidad and Tobago, but most importantly, was born in Canada. Do the math. And I say most importantly, because I truly believe that if you were born in this country, you have won the lottery. Sherry began in St. Andrews, attending St. Andrews in 2007. She says she was immediately mesmerized, in her own words, by Russ's use of social justice. In his language, in a sermon no less. She was hooked. So much so, she was baptized by Russ in 2008. Welcome, Sherry.
Good morning, everyone. There we go. For those of us who are not as tall as others. So in my 4 minutes, I want to say a wee bit about gratitude, and it comes in the form of a letter. Dear Russ, salam. Martin Luther referred to gratitude as the basic Christian attitude, and today it is still referred to as the heart of the gospel. William Shakespeare said, "O Lord that lends me life, lend me a heart replete with thankfulness." Yet, thank you doesn't seem enough for all that you have done for the larger community of Halifax, our dear St. Andrews, my family, and for me. Personally, I am grateful for your spiritual guidance in all of its forms. I am indebted to you for your quote-unquote big brother ear and shoulder whenever needed. And I am beholden to you for your wisdom, your truth, compassion, vulnerability, humor, mischief, and the ever-present mirror you've always held up to me. You've helped me grow in countless ways. When I first started attending St. Andrews in 2007, I was, in a word, broken, and you helped me heal. You taught me that lost is a place and that the wound is the gift. Like Rumi, who said, and I quote, "I've been a seeker, and I still am, but I stopped asking the books and the stars. I started listening to the teaching of my soul. You, Russ, taught me how to listen to my soul. You helped me become the warrior I am today." And I'm truly appreciative of the kindness and care you always had for my 3 larger-than-life sisters, and in particular, my mom. She adored you, Reverend. I remember most fondly how she absolutely loved it when you went old school in your preaching and wore your traditional robes for service. She loved having challenging, deep spiritual and religious conversations with you, and you brought her much comfort. So thank you. One of my most favorite authors, Maya Angelou, said, and I quote, "I learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." Unquote. As much as I love Miss Angelou, I don't think she had it quite right when it came to you. It is highly unlikely that the people of St. Andrews will ever forget your riveting and sometimes titillating sermons, nor will we forget how, with your leadership, you helped to shape St. Andrews into a role model of social and racial justice, with both vision and courage. Where Maya did get it just right is that we will never, ever forget how you made us feel loved. Love recognizes no barriers. It jumps hurdles, leaps fences, penetrates walls to arrive at a destination full of hope. You are leaving us now, Russ, in a place of hope and love and in excellent hands. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I am filled with gratitude. I am so happy that our paths crossed and mingled for the last 14 years. And we are better, stronger, and more resilient because of the lessons you've shared and explored with all of us. So may your next chapter be filled with love, peace of mind, good health, and joy. Namaste.
That's all you get.
After about a dozen years, I started calling St. Andrews my home. That was about a dozen years ago, Russ. What was the hook? Outrageous, challenging sermons and inspiring music to match. So over time, I went from being out there to managing to get myself up here somehow. Thanks, Russ. As much as Russ and Kevin would have me up here. So music's always been at the core of who I am. And thanks to Russ and Mostly Righteous, the band that he formed but still doesn't play in, I've been sharing music again like I used to do before having young kids. Russ, I've been your Bob, Tom, John, Jackson, John, George, Steve, Earl, Bruce, and Bruce. I chose this song for you today because I've got this thing in my heart. I must give it today. It only lives when you give it away. Deep in the city of the saints and fools, pearls before pigs and dung become jewels. I sit down with tigers, I sit down with lambs. None of them know who exactly I am. I got this thing in my heart I must give today. It only lives when you give it away. The languid mandala of the ceiling fans teases the air like a soft stroking hand. Study the faces, study the cards. Study the shadow creeping over the yard. I got this thing in my heart I must give you today. It only lives when you give it away. Trouble with nations, trouble with relations. Where you gonna go for some illumination? Too much to carry, too much to let go. Time goes fast, change goes slow. I got this thing in my heart, I must give it today. It only lives when you give it away. I got this thing in my heart, I must give it today. It only lives when you give it away. Give it away.
Our final speaker is Halifax's best dressed man, Kevin Latimer. Kevin's a Halifax lawyer who has very quietly given his time, his talent during the times of fire, fraud, and refugees here at St. Andrews. Kevin started attending St. Andrews as a law student at Dal, married the lovely Ingrid at St. Andrews, and has 3 amazing kids, of which 2 of them are here with us today, and they were all baptized here. The kids, that is. Kevin says he was, in his own words, compelled to join council for a bit after Russ arrived, to help provide some badly needed oversight and supervision. When I asked Kevin what he shared with Russ, it included churro roots, gluten-free restrictions, and a propensity for mischief. That says it all. Welcome, Kevin.
Well, let me just observe before I begin. I noted with interest your kind remarks to Russ about saving, I think, your golf game, your rings, and your marriage. I think the question on all of our minds is, who's Viola? You know, so, you know, whatever Russ did for you, my friend, you've seriously set yourself back here this morning. So you got some work to do. I guess it's over to Reverend Susan at this point. Yeah. So, look, good morning. It's really wonderful to be here. Nice to see all of you, to see familiar faces, but also so many new faces in St. Andrews, and that we've all come out this morning for this send-off for Russ. It was billed as a roast, and I'm just wondering, how you doing, buddy? You doing okay? You feeling rare? Medium rare? Well done? So anyway, this is quite a production, and not easy to back clean up. But let me just say, when I was reflecting on this send-off earlier this week, I was reminded that Russ has often been fond of working contemporary music into his messages. And thinking about my own assignment here this morning, the piece that came to mind for me was one popularized by Chris Christopherson. Why me, Lord? Why me, Lord? What have I done to deserve even one of these 4-minute miracles here this morning? 4 minutes. That's my allotment. Margaret alluded to that earlier this morning. I ask you, Ross often speaks about justice. Does that seem fair? Does that really seem just at this point? Or even 4 times 4 for all of us together. Margaret, Carol, Sherry, who all spoke so eloquently this morning. You know, I was thinking this week, most Sundays, 16 minutes in, which is 4 times 4, most Sundays, 16 minutes in, Russ is really just finishing up his welcomes in at least 5 different languages. So, well, as some of the speakers alluded to this morning, it is over, Russ. This is it. And I know you don't like to hear that, but I think, you know, there is no coming back from the desert this time. And I was thinking, you know, you were once the toast of St. Andrews. Now you're just toast. Gluten-free, I might add. Yeah. So, looking back on all those Sunday mornings, every time Russ stepped to the podium, I would get excited. I'd be up there somewhere where Bob and others are this morning. I'd get excited because I never knew which Russ we were going to get. Do you know what I mean? And I'm seeing a lot of nods out there, Russ. Remember our own Martin Luther in 2017 when Russ dramatically tacked his own 9 theses for the North American church on our Roby Street door. Or Russ, the physicist, espousing his string theory of the universe, which Margaret alluded to this morning. Has anyone ever heard that? If we listen carefully this morning. Or Russ, the globetrotter, returning with mystical inspiration after stargazing in the desert. Or Russ, the athlete, the boxer, the runner, the hiker. Or would it be Jack Nicholson, our own Jack Nicholson, from A Few Good Men? I could always sense that one coming up there. That's when I was happy to be in the balcony. You know, I think we can all relate. The voice would start to get louder. He'd be walking around down here, starting to move up and down the aisle. He'd get a little tense, and whether the theme was Mother Earth or social justice or an equality issue, you name it, the crescendo would ultimately come to, we were all thinking it, you can't handle the truth. It was such a relief when that moment finally passed up there. Yeah. And the temperature would start to come down again. Anyway, look, he kept us guessing, he grabbed our attention, and the passion was unmistakable. But whatever the pitch, the purpose was never in doubt. A higher calling, open hearts, open minds, the mission. It meant there was rarely a comfortable pew in St. Andrews. But it wasn't just the words that inspired, it was his example. In his 9 theses, Russ cites the need, quote, to be so in love with Christ, with each other, and with the world that we finally start taking some risks again. Well, we saw that here, inside and outside St. Andrews. Russ took risks with us. He brought us into his personal journey. His family became our family. His friends, Ian and other faith leaders from this community and beyond, became part of our journey. His student, Reverend Susan Chisholm, became our future here at St. Andrews. He drew us in, sharing his shining moments, his dark days, his moments of redemption. Russ, you may pitch yourself as Martin Luther, or the great athlete, or even Colonel Russ from time to time. And we all acknowledge you're the real deal. The superlatives will follow you wherever you go. But you're full of cracks, man. And thank God, because as the poet says, that's how the light got in over the last 15 years here. Into our congregation, into the lives and work of all the people you touched along the way. Through your service as an outstanding preacher, a champion for social justice, and a beloved friend. I can say without hesitation, St. Andrews and this wider community is a far better place for it and for your service. And that light will continue to shine in and through all of us long after you've moved on. Thank you to you and to your family, and all the best for the next leg in the journey, my friend.
this is an original piece I wrote for Russ, dedicated to Russ, and that everyone's going to sing. Hopefully it'll sum up a lot of what the speakers have been talking about, and it's dedicated to Russ.
Preacher, teacher, you are a mischievous creature. Theologian, to the desert again. Go in peace and love from us all.
Came to us in 2005, filled our heads with all that physics jive, made us wonder just who had arrived. But then our friendships, they came alive.
We're mostly righteous, you gave us the name. Without you here, we won't be the same. To comfort and afflict was your game. So many hardships we overcame. Left us with more, gave us something to reach for. As you walk out the door, we'll keep singing our righteous roar. You could be an unorthodox guy, sure to tell the truth from a lie. Though we always didn't see eye to eye, we're at peace as we say goodbye.
So has it really been 15 years? You are the one who walked in hears so many of our quiet fears, giving comfort through all our tears.
Left us with more, gave us something to reach for. As you walk out the door, we'll keep singing our righteous roar. Left us with more, gave us something to reach for. As you walk out the door, let's keep singing our righteous roar. You left us with more, gave us something to reach for. As you walk out the door, we'll keep singing our righteous roar. Preacher, teacher, you creature, theologian, to the desert again.
Go in peace and love
From us all. Go in peace and love from us all. Yeah. Chris, get out front. Get out front, Chris. Come on.
Just to say, we recorded this song here. We did like a kind of a professional recording of this song. And we're going to try to put it on the site, I think, to download and the fundraise for the charity of the St. Andrew's Mission of Russ's Choice, so whichever.
So we'll have more information about where to get to that in the coming time. You'll find out.
I think that's worth another round of applause. To say thanks is an understatement of the millennium, I would say. To Kevin, the most righteous, for the gift of music, including an original song, of course, we just heard, written for us by Chris for this very occasion. I want to do a couple shout-outs to the sound guys, Connor Brenton and Jordan Farmer. I think you're somewhere up there. Or somewhere, where are you?
Up in the back, up in the balcony.
Up in the balcony. Great job, guys. Now I'm going to ask Kevin to introduce the band.
This is your fault. So we've had a lot of fun. Just a quick word for me. We've had a lot of fun over these past 15 years, and certainly Russ has pressed me into places that I, well, maybe sort of imagined, but didn't realize that they may go just as they did here over these past number of years. And so this is the result. And I'm very proud of the relationship that we've had, the collegial work that we've done together. I talk a lot in my colleague group about working well together. And so we have a model of this, I think, that's worked very well for quite a long time, and that's rare. And so I'm grateful. Russ has spoken to this before, and I just want to say that I'm very grateful for this period of time that we've had to work together. And so thank you, Russ, for that. So the band. Actually, why don't you guys come out just so that you're out where your places are, because I'm going to kind of do it in that order. So going from the other side of the stage, starting with Steve Tugwell on guitar and vocals. Thank you, Steve. Peter Bayless on vocals. Peter. Shelley Meisner on vocals. Dana Lynn Farrell is up in the balcony handling live stream things and his vocals. Doug McKay is right here in the center on drums. I did that the last time, Doug. Drums. He's our drummer. And in the horn section in the back, we've got Shaw Nicholson on trumpet. There you are, Shaw. Chris Mitchell on sax. Thank you, Chris. Moira McDonald on flute. Ross Dixon on guitar over there. Chris Churchill on bass. Co-conspirator, yes. Isn't that an amazing piece? And I'm Kevin Parks, Mostly Righteous. We are the Mostly Righteous.
I guess one of my own personal secrets in life was always to surround myself with people who are better, smarter, and way cooler than I am. And In many respects, I've been very fortunate to accomplish that. But I've now realized that that's just not a Mango thing. That's clearly a Russ thing. When you think of the 4 speakers, the band, the music, Susan, and all of the folks that have been part of this trip, clearly Russ is onto that. Surround yourself by rock stars and just kind of bathe in the light. Yeah. So, before we finish up, I'm going to ask Michelle V.G. Fraser and Russ to come up, please.
I don't need it for very long. I have the great pleasure of giving you a little gift. And can you hear me? Oh, there we go. I have the great pleasure of giving you a token of appreciation from the congregation, which is a continuation of the roast today. These are messages that have been coming in over the last few months from various members in the congregation. We call it Lessons from Russ, and I think you're going to be amazed. Powerful stuff in here. One of the lines, and this actually was at the bottom of an email from my fellow African drummer, Susan. Susan's here, I saw her. And this particular one, I think, speaks to you very clearly. You've helped us to see beyond the present, which is wisdom. But you've also helped us to see beyond possible, and that's faith. And I thank you for that. I know the congregation does. I think you're a star. You have changed lives permanently. And I think there are a lot of stars, a lot of people out there who think you're a star as well. And this is for you. There's another version of this coming that's smaller. So this is the prototype. Over to you, Russ.
I think so, yes.
Did you see Will get up and get me the box of Kleenex? I used a lot of it. It would be impossible for me to offer all the expressions of gratitude that are appropriate at this time and to name all the people. It would take a lot longer than the 56 minutes that Margaret thinks is my average sermon length. I said to Karen, I'd like to have 5 minutes to say thank you to the congregation, and she made the great mistake of saying, take all the time you need. Let me start with Susan and Kevin. We haven't seen a lot of Susan this morning, but I've seen your fingerprints all over this. Thank you. When Susan organizes things, they get done well with good people. Kevin, remarkable 15 years, unbelievably fruitful collegial relationship for which I'm just so grateful. And let me, through you, send an expression of gratitude to the other ministers. Dale's here, Ian Fraser, Martha, Arlene, others with whom we've worked in these 15 years. Out to you. To the very mischievous people who organized this celebration, I know that Fergie and the Mango Man and the VJ Fraser clan had their fingerprints all over it. Thank you, and thank you. Also to this clan. To the 4 speakers, unbelievably moving for me, spoken so well. And to Kevin, I'm toast. to mostly righteous. Wow. Wow, 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 and thank you. It has been one of my great pleasures to make mischief with you and for you to make music so often following through on ideas I had and putting up with the craziness thereof. It's been so great for so long. Thank you. To all of the leaders of St. Andrews over the years, you know, Carol is in so many ways a shining example and mentioned in her talk some of the real shining examples. But the number of loyal, dedicated, passionate, skilled, resilient, faithful lay leaders, chairs of council, chairs of committees, mischief makers in social justice that I've had the chance to work with for 15 years here has been, from the very first moment when I showed up in Halifax for this job and I couldn't get into my house because my landlady was giving birth over at the IWK. And Betty Anderson and John took me into their cabin where I lived, took in all for many days, and for the hospitality that you, Betty, extended first on that first night and first breakfast, and which you've been extending for all that time. In many ways, Betty, our relationship for me is resonant with my relationship with St. Andrews. It is deeply warm. It is deeply committed to faith community, to this faith community. It's one in which we can poke fun at each other and forgive each other, and it's one that has the right angel and the right devil on the right shoulders. Thank you to everybody who's been a part of this journey. And when I say everybody, I'm thinking of people whose souls are here in this time and in this space, but their bodies no longer. Let's just take 30 seconds and think about, I was going to start naming a few. I can't, because it would go on and on. You think about the people who are here in spirit but not in body. Thank you. And finally, a thank you to my family. Sam and Will, and Virginia. I know how much a family has to make room for a minister to follow his or her passion, and how much a family's life is shaped by that. I hope that sharing in that passion and sharing in this faith community has been worth the sacrifice. It's been really good to do it with you. And your mom is here too. Thank you for coming, and thank you for your part of that too. Friends, it really is the end of the journey, except that here comes the physics. And also the theology. Time and space and life and death are in some measure illusions that help us navigate our realities. And in truth, we can never, ever be separated. So I leave you with a shalom aleichem, an assalamu alaikum, a namaste, a walaliyam, and a God bless you.
I'll ask you to remain standing, and I'd like to invite Russ, Will, and Sam to come up here and receive a blessing. Just come stand. We're all going to speak this blessing. So listen as you hear the voices of those gathered in this room and those joining in from the distance at home as we bless this family, as we bless Russ, and in doing so, bless one another. And so we say these words together. May God's Sabbath rest bless you. May freedom of new life enliven you. May God's peace dwell in your heart your whole life long. And to one another we say, God bless you. Go in peace. Amen. Amen.
Left us with more, gave us something to reach for. As you walk out the door, you keep singing our righteous roar. You left us with more, gave us something to reach for. As you walk out the door, we'll keep singing our righteous roar. You left us with more, gave us something to reach for. As you walk out the door, we'll keep singing our righteous roar. Yeah. Go in peace, young man. Peace and love, peace and love.
Thank you.